Anything? Hello, hello. Testing. That I seem to have audio when doing that. It's just it doesn't seem to like my headset. What is going on? Hold on a moment. Does that do anything? Hello, hello, hello. That seems to be just my microphone on my laptop. It does not seem to want to respond to my actual headset. Why is this? Hello? Hello? What is going on? Sound system. Put it to speakers. Microphone. Can I put it to my cursor? Am I at least audible then? I mean, I'm audible. I can see the bar moving. Let me just prod people. See if that gets things shaking and moving. Don't you just love it? It worked fine the last few times, but now it just suddenly seems to not want to. Did that help at all? Fun. This is fun. Okay, well, whatever. You can hear me. I can see that I am audible. We've not dropped any frames, etc. Right. Anyway, we had a slight hiatus, didn't we? Which is why I'm a little out of practice here. Yes, slight hiatus. My workplace opened back up. You are audible. Sounds like it's on the. Yeah, if I switch it to my headset, doesn't seem to detect my headset. Like, it detects it in that the Corsair is an available option, but then I get no audio. It's confusing and annoying. I hope I've not already broken it, which is the first thing that goes through my head. It's like I can go to Tools, Settings, Audio, Microphone, change it from Realtek High Definition Audio to Headset Microphone Corsair HS45. Click Apply. Applying. Yeah, so my headset just appears to just not want to work with XSplit. So I might just have to live. Yeah, it doesn't pick up after that. Yeah, I'm not sure why. I might have to test to make sure it's functioning, like in terms of physically functioning. Or let's just have a peek to see if Discord is. You know, I'll just fucking close Discord. That'll help. That'll just help in general, really. Ah, boy. And then let's give it a go. Again, settings, audio. I love technology. Wait, no, that won't be my phone. Let's not use my phone. Test. No, did I actually change it there? No, I didn't. That'll be light. Apply. Okay, I don't know what's causing it. Might just have to stick with my laptop, the shitty microphone. Granted, it's picking me up. I'm sitting like a good couple of feet away from it and it's still picking me up. But at the same time, that is aggravating. Oh well, what can you do? Right, yes, either way. We had a few weeks hiatus there. I returned to work. It was very busy. It has only stopped just being busy. I actually have more than one day off this week. So I'm not exhausted. So hence why I'm back for this week. Next week, I'm not sure, because I'm off on some very awkward days. Maybe Friday. But that I will figure out as we go. But yes, this guy, Skorpekh Lord, model I picked in the hope that, well, that I wouldn't be interrupted. Here we are 3 weeks later. I did cheat slightly. I ended up doing the base on this guy, just adding some sand and texture paint, just because when we did Git Stomper last time, I remember it just taking way too long to dry. So I've just applied for texture paint, some Armageddon Dust, which is the grainy stuff, some Agrellan Earth, which is like a cracked, dried earth, and then I've just base coated it in an ochre, just so that it's one consistent colour. And then I painted the rocks he's standing on grey because they're meant to be part of a building. The scarabs are on there, a little silver detail, and so is the rebar. Other than that, it's everything we did on the last stream. Still Nihilak Dynasty. So, let me just make sure that my camera is... It's seeming a little jittery. So I want to make sure it's actually using the USB debugging. There we go, rather than the Wi-Fi. And that instantly seems a little more stable. Wonderful. Focus could still use some work, but that is me in a nutshell. Right, where do I want to start off? We've got everything based here. So it's just going to be starting out on our shading. Now, the teal, I want to be a bit careful of how we shade it because I don't want it to just end up looking like it's dark blue. Gold should be easy, silver is going to be the easiest. Green, I have a weird experiment I want to try with the green. So I'll tell you what, since it's the easiest, let us start with the base and our silver. So with the base, just because it's a big flat round circle, let's make it uncomplicated. And let's just hit it with a brown wash. Considering this is going to take a while to dry, might as well make it one of the first things we put on this thing. So, bit of the old Agrax. Getting used to painting with a camera between me and the subject again. Currently failing a little bit. Let's just plop it on. Should have really picked a bigger brush for this bigger base, but here we are. That's going to be today's theme. I have not done this for a few weeks. I've forgotten how to do everything. Let's just do it this way. I am relearning. And I ended up getting a splash of it on his nail. That just comes right off at least. So yeah, it's been a busy few weeks for me. Between work and recovering from work and my calves feeling like they were made of stone. It's been a bit, as well as considering some options for upgrading my professional life. I say professional life, my job is not really something I would consider a career, but what can you do? I don't know. But yeah, that's already done. Just plopping some brown wash on the base. Having a little bit on it on the grey might help integrate it a little bit. So up next, let's go with the silver. So with the silver, if I recall correctly, I did a couple things. Yeah, our main carapace is done in a lead belcher, while the inner workings are done with Iron Warrior to make it look a little darker. Hopefully, the way that we shade this might help accentuate that difference a little bit. I've just noticed actually there's a little bit of the green that we've used snuck onto the metal. Don't know how I've managed to do that, but let's just quickly fix it. Thankfully I've barely touched my desk since the last stream. It's been a little unfortunate, but at the same time it's meant that everything that I used last stream is just right here because I've not moved it. It's been 3 weeks of it just sitting there. It's taunted me. And I'm getting used to not knocking the camera again, it seems. What can you do? So, to be fair, last night, after having what was a very easy shift, because so far this week has been quiet, now that we've gotten our reopening period and a school holiday out of the way, the vast majority of our traffic seems to have been sated. So it was quiet last night. I got sent home early because it was that quiet. So I actually, I might as well show off a little bit something I've done on the side. Just got some of the base coating done on this Gravis Captain, the one that's just come out. Couldn't really be bothered getting that kill team set to get it, so I just waited the extra month or two. I've thankfully developed a resistance to the FOMO that a lot of companies nowadays seem to be wanting to do. Yeah, he's just base coated, no shading or anything. So yeah, anyway, onto our silvers. Let's go back to that. Let's use something a little smaller than what we just used for the base. You'll do, I think. Ooh, that one needs a bit of clean. It's always distressing when you pick up a brush and the bristles are stiff about halfway down. It's like, hold on, I let something dry in this. Da, 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 da. Yeah, hopefully I can figure out what this audio issue is, because I quite like my microphone. Might have to check to see if it's alright. There still seem to be dropping frames on the actual camera. Not in terms of the stream itself, just on the camera. Oh well. I've been looking to upgrade to a Logitech webcam for a little while. They're just waiting for me to have money in my bank that isn't from furlough. Which even after this past 3 weeks of working, I'm still waiting on. Oh well, joys working month in hand. That's better. That's cleaned that up nicely. And because it's already a nice sunny day here, I'm just needing a little sip of something. It's been nice this past week. Humid as hell, but nice. So it kind of like, it feels like you're wearing a blanket all the time when it's warm. There we go. So, yeah, like I say, we're just going to shade our silvers. Do I have a fresh pot of Nuln, or am I going to have to order one? I'll have a dig around my desk later, because Nuln is one of the paints, our black wash here, that I ran out of quite quickly compared to other paints. Considering I use it for like basically all my steels, any dark colour that, or any dark cool colour, should I say, and a bunch of other different colours. It's quite useful. And you know what? All that time spent cleaning that brush, and I think I am dropping a couple of frames, just a few seconds worth so far. Just because it's a bit too small. I need to. Let's just go back to the one we used on the base. See how that feels. That's already looking better in terms of how it feels on the brush. Yeah, I'll just use this. Again, it doesn't really matter if I get any of this black on the base. Dirt is dirt. It's going to have all sorts of colours. I might actually attack it with some other coloured shades later, just to add a little variety. So let's just get these legs, pelvis, and we'll work up. Any metallics next to the green, I might just have to be a little careful with. Let's just get our basing material here as well. These rocks. Maybe let it mix with the agrax on the ground to add a little bit of a darkish brown tinge to it. So yeah, but yeah, that's been my life these past few weeks. Working, dying, recovering, repeat. You know, the old Sisyphean nightmare that is working minimum wage. But I'm alive. I'm through the worst of it until the summer holidays hit, which probably still won't be as bad as what these past few weeks have been, just because it's 6 weeks rather than the 1 week of half term, or the 1 week of, oh, they've just opened up, go, go, go. Yeah. That message I heard about, it's not overpopulation that's a problem, it's overconsumption, really hit home. Like, bloody hell. Some people just insist on just as much as possible. And it just drives me crazy. So there's a lot of things that just drive me crazy, actually, with the general customer base of anywhere, I suppose, within retail or hospitality. But now, what can you do other than try and escape from it, which might also be on the docket, depending on things. I've just noticed this hasn't been in focus for a little while, but this isn't the most interesting part, is it? We'll have to see. Dice are being rolled as we speak. Whether or not I get a good result, Well, it's partially up to me, but a lot of it is out of my hands too once applications are sent out. I seem to be dropping frames a fair bit at the moment. I also seem to be overexposing the feed currently, so I might have to look into that in a moment. I might go turn on my actual room lights once I've gotten this wash on. There's a lot of silver on this guy, even with me wanting to get more of the blues and golds on this compared to some other versions of this scheme. Yeah, well, I've had my whinge about my working life. Hopefully, that's something I don't need to talk about, or feel the need to talk about for a little while. That's also something I've been feeling a bit more. Just been slightly bit clumsy with my hands recently. Don't know if it's a stress or if there's something I don't know about. But I quite like my hands functioning. As you can imagine, considering this is my hobby. Hopefully it's temporary. Yeah, I'll have to give it another week or two to find out, because it might be something that's a bit comorbid with other quirks of my anatomy. If I could call that anatomy. I don't know. I ain't giving away too much on stream. There could be strangers watching. Right, yeah, that's, I believe, all of our silver now washed. So I am just going to go quickly turn on a light, see if that doesn't help our weird lighting situation. Certainly not helping our dropped frame situation, it seems, but I've got a theory as to that, but that's not something I can really work with. So I'll be just 2 seconds. If I knock shit over, it happens. You know what? I don't even remember what I said involving something being strange. Oh, my mind is just flatlining right now. I'm still kind of airheaded. Yeah, it's I am in a good mood, especially after yesterday. Fairly easy shift that got ended a couple hours early. So I stayed in the building, bought a pizza, because we now serve pizza at work now. Granted, easy to make those than those fucking nachos. And I just was able to get home and relax for a couple hours longer than I thought I'd be able to. And it was an easy department too. Because I thought I was going to be at the reception for the building. I ended up being the quote-unquote doorman. Basically, I just stand there and wait for people to come to me to try and enter the building. Which means, on a quiet night, like yesterday was, I did fuck all for half hours at a time. It was nice. Right, yes, so we have gotten our silver washed. Let's actually get it in focus. Tell you what might be the issue. Nah. None of those are really good options. Does this help with the overexposure? Let's add more light. It does not. It does not actually change anything with the actual subject. Wonderful. Alright, whatever. We live. I might just need a diffuser. Which, granted, could just be a piece of paper. Who knows? Yes, we're experiencing high CPU usage. Fuck off. Sorry, the tech is screaming at me because it's having to work. Right, yes, so our silver is washed. We've gotten a little bit of the black wash on our green on this sword, but I think I can live with that, what I'm planning on doing. Let us get the gold next. I've noticed that with the heat my router is dying inside, so maybe... Yeah, you know what, the warmth is probably getting to my laptop a little bit. Just the ambient increase in temperature is probably not doing a whole lot that's good. Yeah, so let's get the gold next, seeing as it's not got the most surface area in comparison to everything else. So I'm just going to use, instead of a wash, I am going to use a contrast paint. Just a skeleton horde, just sort of a beigey, well you can see it on the lid there, just sort of a beigey brown. Have a little extra warmth to contrast all the blues and the neutral silvers and blacks, and just plop that on. Yeah. Don't let it go on too thick, but just enough to add the contrast. Literally contrast, made by the contrast paint. Yeah, hopefully I could readjust a little bit, because it's not that I despise my job when it's not busy. It's a case of I could do better, and I want to do the stuff I like doing and being able to do it in a consistent manner, rather than what it is right now, where it's having to squeeze around my work life. But I think that's something everyone wants at the end, so you got to compete for that. Before I lost my light there for some reason. I am really dropping frames right now. What the hell? Well, I'm not dropping frames. That's the camera not catching up. Hold on. Let me just get this on here. I allow debugging. Is it just that USB connection not being great? Let me try something. If I swap these, might just lose feed for a second. How's that? We're still dropping a buttload of frames. Then again, this always seems to happen around this time. I don't know if it's something the people sharing this building are doing, or just a quirk of reality, or as Slider has said, the heat messing with routers. But well, we'll just carry on. I've not actually dropped, like in terms of like I've not actually stopped being live, which is an improvement over some days. Right, the face is going to be a little tricky, but get it in the mouth, get it around the side of the head. I think what isn't helping with this overexposure issue is the fact that there is a fair bit of metallic on this model. Yeah, heat. Yeah, just grab. I accidentally got a little bit of that paint in his eye, which I want to be green, not brown. And that is our gold shade drying. I think I still need to do the back of this the loincloth. I'm getting used to not hitting things again. Apologies. Which that is a 2-second job. Just find the long gold thing, put the brown paint on it. This will be on my second monitor, but beat my head against the wall that is league ranked. Yeah, I don't envy that, in a way. Just anything, well, even just the solo queue on that game can be pretty scary in terms of the people. But yeah, there's our gold washed. Got a little bit of it on his blue stripe on his forehead, but that might actually add a little bit. So these paints are going to take the longest to dry, which is why I've done them first. Even in this heat, still drying in places. See it pooling on the end of this toe, if you want to call it that. So let's grab that. Make sure. Ooh, that has done a bit of a tide mark. Hold on. Grab some there. There's a tide mark on the terrain. There we go. Embrace it a little bit. Not like we aren't going to dry brush this eventually. People don't know how to fight New Mundo. Oh yeah, that's actually landed now, hasn't it? Pretty boy Mundo. That's I mean, surely he shares a lot with like his old version. Like he still throws the machete. He doesn't set himself on fire. I believe it's the same ability, just a different justification. Right, so let's just re-grab our Moot Green and just touch up that sword. I'm a little on the fence because I kind of like the more slapstick look of him. Duh, yeah. Welcome back, John. Yeah, oh, yeah. The new Mundo, I very much preferred the old slapstick look of him, as opposed to what he's become now, which is a bit more. He drives a car when corporate. Okay, that I can like. Corporate Mundo just driving around a little car. But yeah, the new version of him is just like, okay, let's. I'll just polish him. Let's polish him to a mirror shine. It's like, can I have something goofy? Big purple man can't be goofy. Also, he does lightning damage now because he turns on a defib inside himself or something. Okay. I mean, yeah, I did listen to some of the new voice lines, and they've lent a lot more into the Doctor side of Dr. Mundo. That is for sure. Which that I can appreciate. It's sort of like, instead of him just being a big galoop that just happens to be called Dr. Mundo, he makes jokes about, well, from what I've heard of his voice lines, he makes jokes about doctors and just medical puns, so it's almost like it not legitimizes, it's just sort of does the whole character's bit rather than just Purple Hulk. Right, yeah, didn't need to touch up the sword too much. There's still some of the speckling coming through, but I'm actually not too concerned by that. You know, I didn't actually think I was going to do this, I just started doing it. I will be frank with you. And because of the heat, a lot of our base is already dried. Yeah. I still mean... Well, hold on. I just needed a sip of drink. I still have been meaning to get back into playing League in a semi-regular fashion. But it is still a matter of having the time, because even now, even though they've like cut the game times in half, it still takes a while to do a game. It still takes a while to learn the game and relearn it every time there's a patch. Yeah, you know what? I'll just do the experiment now. So what I am doing, if you ignore, you know, I don't think it's actually picking up the sloshing sound of me shaking this, is I am going to use a paint that I haven't actually used all that much since I got it a few months ago when it came out. Just hold on, I'm still mixing it. I could get an agitator for this, but that'll take effort. Is this stuff Tesseract Glow? It is actually a Necron themed paint. It's meant to help make stuff look like it's glowy green. It's kind of just like fluorescent paint, really. I mean, look at that. But you could hit this with a black light and it would look funky. Looks like something out of Goosebumps. So, is our sword dry? Not quite. Tell you what, we will start on this little orb on his belt. I might have too much on my brush. Blap, blap, blap. Okay, so I am noticing it's not making a huge difference right now. I mean, I like how it's lighter than the colour I put down, and it's collecting around the edges a little bit. Might just let that dry first before I take an extra step. Feeling I might need to add a bit more lightness and a bit more darkness to my greens before I start doing anything too funky with it. We'll see. Put it on the back burner for now. This is how we learn. You're literally watching me learn this. So the next step, I suppose, then, is going to be the blue. I don't really intend on using a lot of washes on the blue, because I don't want this sort of... It does look blue on the camera right now, but it is a very dark sort of tealy turquoise. I based it with Thousand Suns blue. So next step, appropriately in the theme of naming, if anyone knows their lore about the Thousand Suns, is Araman blue. Ironically, there isn't a sandy colour named after the Thousand Suns, but I suppose that would be too mean, wouldn't it? Just let the space wizards accidentally turn themselves into haunted suits of armour filled with sand because, honestly, I forget why. Horus Heresy lore is weird. I don't even read the books. I can't be arsed. And I am noticing a smidge of dust on the sky, unfortunately, from the past couple of weeks. So let me just clean that up. I want this to make an unintentional texture. So I'm just going to start on this claw. Might need to pick a brush with a slightly better tip, but that is going on fairly smoothly. Yeah, this will be a couple of coats, but this is working quite nicely. Gonna leave maybe this bottom bit, the original Thousand Suns, just to get a little smidge of shade in. The original, yeah, it was Thousand Suns. Araman's the one I've got on my palette now. So yeah, trying to think of a lot of the conversation last time was mostly me thinking about like, ooh, if I picked up a new army, what would it be? And I'm still tinkering with the idea of both orcs and necrons. Granted, since our last stream, the Adeptus Mechanicus update has hit. That's an army I already collected, so I might have picked up that codex. I've currently got about just 500 point blob, some Skitarii, some of the little foot soldiers, a couple of tech priests, and I believe they're the Cerberus Sulphur Hounds, are the other units I have, like the guys on like cyborg dog horses. Saying that out loud was an experience. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like the problem with the Adeptus Mechanicus. I can't even say it. That's one of the issues. Is as much as I love them, as much as I love my machine cult of Mars, they're an expensive army to collect. Like, not even in the it's a meme way. Like, no, legitimately. Boxes of Skitarii are about as much as boxes of Space Marines and cost half as many points. So you kind of need to field a lot more in order to have an equally sized army. And they're also very, very fiddly. Lots of little antennae, a lot of little details, lots of robes. Every model's in a robe, pretty much. But I like the colour red. I like my techie guys. So I kind of couldn't not. Granted, I could always inflate the size of that army by just including a knight or two and some armigers, because why the hell not? Probably wouldn't be too tactically sound, but at the same time, I have a knight and you don't. Or at least I presume my opponent doesn't. They're not too competitive right now, but I don't give a damn. Knights are fucking cool. I'll just do the top half of this bit of the spine. I'll probably blend that later. I actually find it a bit easier to blend with the deeper, more saturated colours. So I'll get to that later on. For now, I guess I'll just do the value sketch. But yeah, in terms of hobby, that's been my main thing. Just thinking about what to do with my Mechanicus guys. Like I say, I'll probably just keep them small. There's a nice thing to have on the side for if I want to learn what has become a very complicated army under the new rules. Lots and lots of little tiny bonuses you can give to specific units. So I'll keep it small to keep it manageable in my brain. Because I'm definitely going to be needing to relearn the game in its fullest. And I might as well be using my Space Marines for that. Because Space Marines have always been the noob tube of the hobby. Where it's just like, okay, they interact with a large portion of the rules, but they're also really simple. So if you want to learn Space Marines, also they're just really easy to paint in comparison to other armies. I think I've said it before on a stream where painting a Space Marine decent is easy, painting a Space Marine good is hard. It's because it's a lot of empty, curved surfaces. I say while I'm painting a Necron, I realise this. Irony out in full force, because when I first started, Necrons were my first army, because, oh hey, they look easy to paint. They're just metal. And then I painted them red, and then I slipped. And also it's just like, oh no, I made a mistake and my guy died. Oh, wait, no, he can get back up. Which actually is still an aspect of Necrons. I do miss it being called Will Be Back, though. I miss that little cute Terminator reference. Now it's reanimation protocols, which makes sense lore-wise, but at the same time, it's like, I wanted to do my Arnie impression. My awful, awful Arnie impression. Every time a model got back up. But that was a different time. That was 2010. I was much more cringy. I'm still cringy now, but in a different way. Not in a oh he just wears a lot of black and a hat way. He's just weird way. But those pictures, they stay where they are. No one else needs to see them. The only people that sees them are the people that have seen me like that. That was a interesting time of my life. That was the crossroads where I could have gone either what I am now, I don't know how you would describe me now, or full Redditor, I think is the best way to put that. The other path that I did not take. Probably for the best of everyone. Yeah, you can see the difference already with this blue. It's a little thin, but it's a light colour. And when I say full Redditor, I don't mean visiting Reddit. I mean like just imagine all the stereotypes about that community, and that is what I could have become, and thankfully I avoided it. Right, I hate at this point where it's a bit patchy, but you can see it still, so it's like, come on, just that little bit more, just a little more coverage, please. I'm also getting to learn what using a wet palette like in summer is. I might have overwatered it, which isn't going to help this, but I also wanted to make sure that, you know, it carried on doing its job through the heat. Sometimes you need to make compromises, which means you put up with annoying things. Yeah, let's go. Just feather that edge a little bit. I might not need to blend this too much, actually. That's looking okay. If I just tap around the edge, then it makes it easier, because it's not just a straight bold line. That makes it easier to see the transition in colours. That's what we want. So yeah, I feel like we've only got things to talk about already. 45 minutes in, just because of how little, like, fewer things have been happening in my life since work and lockdown ceased what they were doing. like, well, since work started up and lockdown ceased, it just feels like it's just been work. And work is not the most interesting subject for me. I do not do an interesting job. I work hard, but that doesn't mean I have stories that aren't just complaining about the odd customer being rude or stupid, which you could get anywhere else. Also, this brush has seen better days. I might need to restock on my smaller sizes. You know what, let's just do the bottom edge and bottom and outer edge of these ribs, because it's so much of it is pointed away from the sun. I feel like we can get away with only half covering it and getting an appropriate look. Yeah, that even looks good on camera. Classic front face work. Yeah, no, you're right. Customer facing stuff, I despise it, because I am probably one of the least social people I know. And that means it's a lot of effort not biting off some people's faces, shall we say. Kind of overdid it on that side. We can touch it up. Granted, sometimes it's not always customer facing work. Sometimes you get shoved in the kitchen because the chef called in ill an hour or two before their shift. So that means you got to pick up the slack. It's like, great. You can't rely on people. Anyway, I'm just fucking moaning. No one wants that. Right, let's swap to my little nicer off brush. Similar size, just not as frayed and beat up. And just reapply some of the Aramin in some places that I want to be a little darker. Problem is, I did attempt. Well, I say did. I don't know why I'm using past tense. It's going to be an ongoing thing, where I am currently considering finding some more appropriate work for myself. Problem is, I think right now there's a lot of other people are doing the same, so options be limited. Can't really blame anyone. Everyone's had the time to sit at home and realise their actual value, and that's either... Ooh, my camera did a thing there. That's either leading to, well, the situation in America, which is hilarious, where they're actually having to pay fast food workers more than minimum wage because they're all leaving otherwise. That's actually... I actually quite enjoy seeing that. Not in like a catharsis, haha, they're getting fucked over way, but in a nice, yeah, no, you should have been doing that from the beginning, people. Like, I don't care if my Big Mac costs an extra 50p. Pay your workers. I will pay the extra 50p. If you can't pay your workers and stay in business, get out of business. You know, not to start throwing around a copy of the Communist Manifesto. I'm still not quite sure where I sit in terms of economical philosophy. I just want things to not be shit. But anyway, I'm here painting a toy soldier. No one wants to hear about political and economical theory. Right, you know what? I think that's enough. Yeah, because we're going to be doing some edge highlighting too, which is really going to accentuate that. What I should do, though, is this front edge on the shoulder blades. Just to get that a bit brighter. Relatively flat, so I don't mind putting a little too much on there. And these bits of the spines. There we go. We actually see some layers there. Don't know what to do about the shapes underneath the shoulder pads. I might attack those with a bit of a shade. Yeah, but we'll see how it looks. Right, also, that Tesseract Glow on the belt is still drying. Okay, that might take a while. I know we're down here on the bottom. The normal, like, official Skorpekh Lord has this nice energy blade gradient. I honestly do not know if I could be bothered to do that. I might not. I don't know. I'm kind of having a fucking attitude at the moment. This is something to do for the enjoyment of it. I don't need to be fucking Richard Gray or... Why am I struggling to name really good miniature painters off the top of my head? Yeah, I don't need to win an award with the sky. I'm just doing it because I want to. It's a simple way of putting it. Right, so I think most of our washes have dried. Some could have dried a little better, but I kind of just applied it a bit slapdash. So what I'm going to do next is something a bit weird with the silver. I am going to grab a contrast paint. So on top of the Nuln oil we've already applied, that has dulled it down a little bit and added a bit of that shading, as you can see on all of our silver. Some places a bit better than others. That forearm could still use a little extra shading, but that's what this next step is for. So, contrast paint. If the camera wants to pick it up, there we go. Basilicanum grey. Sort of going to be a bit of a thick, gooey, well, grey colour. And I'm going to experiment seeing what it's like applying that to what is going to be some of our darker areas of our metallic. So, let's not have a lot on our brush. I want to see if I can feather this goo. So anything more ground facing I'm going to apply it to, as you can see, and that is actually doing some work, and this is a bit more backwards facing, so I'll just smush it on. It might form a little bit of an edge, but I am going to be doing some dry brushing on this afterwards. Definitely on the back of these toes, I'm just going to do just a bit of a layer. In fact, I'll do it like this. Yeah, oh, that's more comfortable. Not showing up as well, but it's more comfortable. And the inside of this little groove. Let's just do the obvious places first. And yeah, I just want to experiment with my metallics, because I kind of still really suck at doing non-metallic metals. That's a very skill-intensive technique, and those are not skills that I have. So why not just try and emphasize the shading more on my true metallics? It's not quite the same, granted, but efforts can be made, and maybe it'll help me gain an understanding to finally get my non-metallic metals good. Because it melts my brain a lot trying to think about that. That technique is not the easiest. Picking the colours, it is a lot of like colour placement. Like, you can probably do good non-metallic metal out of any like gradient of colours, but if you don't apply them right, it's just gonna look like a weird colourful mess. I don't know how people do it who do illustrations, that's for sure. I tried to do that when I painted a little crab on a magic card, and it was a struggle. It came out looking alright. I can still see the flaws in it, but it came out looking alright. That's a bit too much. You know what? Ooh, yes, I forgot. The thumb is a natural feathering tool. Yeah. And let's apply this as well to the inner workings, darken them up a little bit more. See if that makes the definition a little more interesting. I still also need to get those Spectrum magazines, because I mentioned those a couple of streams ago, because we were having that talk. And I've still got the tab open on Firefox. Maybe maybe make that a good gift to myself at some point. Who knows? I don't. Honestly, I have been sucked in by so many impulse purchases just because I felt like I deserve this. Give me. It's only what applied to me snapping up the like I said, the Mechanicus Codex update alongside Tech Priest Manipulus and this guy and Mechanicus dice. Which, to be fair, I ain't ashamed to be a dice goblin. These things look cool as fuck. Nice little Cog Mechanicus on the 6. I'll probably just use them in general, not just for playing the Mechanicus. Nice dice, a nice dice. They actually learned to put the faction symbol on the 6 instead of the 1. I don't know why they did that for so long. It was like, yes, you see your faction symbol, that's a bad thing. It's like, thanks. I hate it. I wonder what it's like getting custom dice made. I'd turn the dice out of custom dice. Well, I suppose I wouldn't be commissioning a set of custom dice. If I could get, say, the right symbol on them. Could have some fun with that. If I did a set of Lamentus dice, I would definitely put the faction symbol on the one, because that's definitely the sort of thing that happens to them. It's like, yes, the unlucky chapter rolled a 1. How flavorful. I suppose the only other interesting thing that has been happening with me is just looking at the spoilers for the next upcoming Magic set, because there's some goofy shit coming. Some of it I love, some of it, well, I don't play a lot of Modern. Some of it's definitely going to shake up the format, because they seem to be designed to shake up the format. Not Squirrel Tribal, that's something that I could see making a splash, being a fun rogue deck. Can't see it being quite on the levels of Hogak from the last Modern Horizons set. He was a mistake. That was probably the last major time I paid attention to Modern was that summer. Not the one just gone, the one beforehand. I still like Modern as a format, but it's a case of like, yes, this is getting more and more expensive to get into. I think I will keep to my cheap deck that is far from being meta and play casually. Which seems to be the theme with me and Magic currently. It's like, yes, this is expensive, isn't it? Playing Magic competitively is more expensive than just playing with my toy soldiers, so I know what I'm going to do. Squirrel Tribal was actually strong in testing. I mean, yeah, but, well, not but, you know, testing. There's only so many things you can test in Modern. When you've got more than a decade's worth of cards, you're gonna miss things. But I would like there to be something cute and funny that scares Modern players. Because it usually just ends up being iterations of the same deck or the same strategy just done with different cards. I know half of the appeal is, oh hey, if you get these cards for this format, you'll be able to play it forever. That does not mean that as more stuff comes out, it's going to be strong forever. Was going to be unbanned forever, shall we say. Someone I knew that, I'll admit, I wasn't the biggest fan of him when it was in the middle of building Splinter Twin when it got banned. And that was a combination of, oh, I can see why that would suck, and it's you though. I could be petty, I just don't say it out loud. I don't even know if it's worth putting this on the black. It might change the finish a little bit. I don't know. It's also one of those things where I dodged a massive bullet, not buying into a deck that ended up getting its major linchpin banned, because I ended up buying a deck that was the same value as the playset of the card that got banned. It's like, well, I'm not complaining. My deck still isn't any stronger or weaker. Someone else has got nuked. Yeah, I need a little bit more on these knuckles. There we go. Yeah, made them actually look like separate parts rather than just a blob of silver. But to be fair, I have seen a lot of hype around, what's it? What was the card? I know, I'm sorry, just thinking about Modern Horizons again, I realised, oh yeah, I heard good things about X card. Oh yeah, for Commander. Oh, and X card. Oh yeah, for Commander. Well, that's just the, that's not anything to say about the set, that's more how I think about cards, which is the issue there. So yeah, we've added a bit more contrast to our silver by adding literally contrast paint. We're going to increase the contrast by adding more upwards as well, rather than just keep making things darker. For the gold, though, I think we do still need a little bit of something else. So I'm going to take, again, more contrast, this time Dark Oath Flesh. I'm just going to smoosh that into some of the cracks that should help represent separate pieces. Not like deep details, but like, oh, this line here is where two pieces are overlapping. The separation should look a little stronger. Ooh, that's going on a bit much. Need a little less. I know, as anyone could predict, who's been following the set and knows what I like, I'm very much excited for getting Ragavan. He looks fun. He's expensive right now, but his price has been dropping, so I'm hoping to get that stupid monkey. It says, won my ranked game getting flamed while also being 4 levels higher than my opponent and the only person max level. League will never change. Yeah, yep, that sounds about right. It's like, hey, I'm doing the best. Why does everyone think I'm trolling? It's always got to be a scapegoat. Always got to be a scapegoat. It can't ever be their problem. It's not something they're doing. They're playing probably the meta stuff. That's the stuff everyone agrees is the strongest. Did I just see an alert pop up on my phone? Yes, I did. I will look at that later. It can't possibly be that you can alter and change a strategy to seek Discord for how bad it was. Oh, was that? That must have been the alert I saw. Let us have a look. I can actually have a peek from my phone. Yeah, you can already see how on the loin plate, how that's added a bit of contrast. Makes it look a little bit deeper and more orangey to go with the blue. Yeah, I can see difference in KDAs especially. Like 12, 6 and 13. Yeah, no, that's perfectly acceptable when you're the only max level person on a new character Flash, teleport, that's pretty standard, isn't it, for top lane? Couldn't tell you the item set. Also the highest KS! Or creep, or the minion kills, or whatever. Not the highest money, but second by like 500-ish behind the Master Yi, who probably went on a murder spree. And certainly, well, better than all but one on the enemy team. But that was the Xin Zhao. The jungling Xin Zhao, by the looks of it. Alright. Never change league. Yeah, I don't know. I think that my current running theory is the issue with League isn't so much specifically the community. There was a similar thing with Overwatch. And I think it comes more from the fact that outside of playing the game well, or how to play the game well, or developing things and item sets to play the game well, there's not much else that the game encourages the community to focus on. I do not belong in silver, but such is life. Yeah, that's ranked when you've got 4 other people to rely on too. So just like when there's only that much to consider, or at least that you're conditioned to consider within the game, it just kind of does that to the community, which isn't fun. Like, there's a total of 1 channel I can think of on YouTube that talks about League in terms of anything other than item sets and competitive environments, and he mostly just talks about the character designs and what could be done differently or what works. And occasionally touches on the story where it's appropriate in terms of how it could inform the character design. But yeah, that's like 1 channel that does that specifically that I can think of. And if that don't sum up that community in a nutshell, I don't know what does. Also, my white balance is going nuts. So yeah, that little bit of Dark Oath has done a bit to make this gold look a little bit more tarnished and a little bit more varied. Yeah, that works. That works. Okay. So, how's our Tesseract Glow looking on the waist? It's looking dry. Yeah, I think we're going to have to add a little bit to the green in order for the Tesseract Glow to do its thing, because that doesn't really look like much, let us be honest here. What I'm going to do is going to do a quick layer, relayering the orb. That is working a bit like a shade currently, but I don't want it to just look like a shade. I can leave that there. So, what do I want to do? I might see if I can't make a bit of a gradient. I want this to be contrasty, like high contrast, without it messing up. How do I approach this? I think definitely you can't play a tank how you expected to in higher ranks, because people in lower ranks won't understand what you're doing for them as you die as a result. Yeah, no, I can understand that. It's like, oh, you're dying a lot. I'm the tank. I'm here to take the damage so that you don't. Yes, I know you've died less. That's me doing my job. That frustration I can absolutely understand. It doesn't take a galaxy brain to understand what the tank does. Everyone just expects everyone on the team, even the support, to just kill. Can maybe blame Senna for that. As much as I like Senna as a character, she's kind of got the, was it Anna in Overwatch? Healy sniper, like, oh, you heal and do damage. So I'm going to be upset if you do anything other than just damage. It's like, oh great, what's the whole point of this character existing, please? Having to relearn the game from a perspective of champions that can hold their own. Yeah, that sounds difficult if I'm honest. Also, where's my focus? Thank you. So, a little bit of Ulthuan Grey. Yeah, sort of not quite white, but not much else. Hopefully, I can use this to sort of add a little something to our green. Make the Tesseract Glow do a little more. So if I base the top of this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do probably a very bad version of the power sword effect you see on a lot of models, where it transitions from a light to a dark on one side, and then the same transition but the opposite on the other side. So this is going to be light on the bottom, this is going to be light at the top, and then the opposite on the other side. Just marking it like that so I can remember which way around I intend to do things. Can't opt Scion when people won't work around the Scion passive. Honestly, I don't remember what the Scion passive is, but yeah, it's teamwork with strangers online. I can totally understand. That's why I never played. I've never played League or never played Overwatch with anyone other than friends. I think I've mentioned this one before. Also, can't help but feel like the flat green makes it look like the Necron has their own brand of Nerf toys. I would buy that. They've made all sorts of weird 40k merch over the past year. I would totally get a Nerf gun, say in the shape of a bolter. Just saying, G-dubs, if you're listening. Also, either a Nurgling or a Tyranid Ripper plush would be great. Or, just slap a Space Marine on everything. I don't mind. I actually, I'm okay with that. Just give me some weird merch. The pins are nice, but they're just pins. Alright, tell you what. Yeah, we'll do the top and bottom fitted on this side in this white. Yeah. Also, just like something I have noticed that's a bit awkward with Warhammer merch. Because they quite like sticking the Imperial Aquila on things. The two-headed bird symbol. Pretty sure there's 3D model stuff online to attach bits to an actual Nerf gun. No, you know what? I'm pretty confident that's a thing. If it isn't, it's going to be a thing very soon that someone's made. But yeah, there's the current awkwardness of, oh hey, I wouldn't mind a bit of little 40k merch. So I could actually wear something based around something I like. Oh, you just stuck the Imperial Aquila on something. The two-headed bird symbol doesn't have other ramifications that could be misinterpreted. Just need a large enough 3D printer or a lot of patience. Yeah. So I've kind of ended up avoiding some part of that merch because I don't want to make it look like I'm dressing up as like a pretend Nazi. It makes people think I'm dressing up as an actual Nazi. It's not a good time. It's not a good time for anyone involved. And if it was anything like, say, I don't know, Orcs or Tyranids or Eldar, it'd be like, what the fuck are you wearing? What is that symbol? It's like, Space Fungus Man. He like shoot gun. Please don't judge me. Oh, waiting for a connection. Hold on. Think my camera's gone a bit funky. Oh, there we go. Reconnect. Allow debugging. Always allow. And we should have our feedback. There we go. Let me put it to 1080p again. There we are. Well, at least that was a technical issue that was easy to fix. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't mind, but at the same time I'm living without so far. I did buy they do blind bag pins of symbols of the different 40k factions, and I did actually get the little Imperial Aquila one. It's like, okay, a little awkward, but I will put it on my hobby bag right next to the little Mega Man head that a friend gave me a few years ago. And hopefully that will provide enough context so people don't think I'm a member of the SS. That is like the last thing on earth any decent person is going to want. And a lot of probably the indecent people too. No one actually wants to be a Nazi, call themselves a Nazi unless they're crazy. Right, so that has at least based on the green. Now, with the sword on the show model, that is actually quite dark where the sword goes dark. I don't quite want that, of course. And a darker desaturated green would just look ugly. I want to keep the saturation. So probably we'll just go with you, I think. Which would be Warboss green. You might remember this being the majority of Git Stomper's skin. Shouldn't need much, it's actually quite a translucent colour. I'm just going to do the same on the opposite sides with this. Yeah, that's going on fairly smoothly. At least it would if it was in focus. Thank you. This is why I'm getting a webcam eventually. Yeah, I might actually... Yeah, I'll avoid that circle in the middle. Make it stand out. And then... bottom third. So this currently is just me sketching on what I want to be the pattern on this sword. I am going to be blending it a little bit, but right now I'm just putting it down, just so it's down, I know where all the colours are going to go, and I can refine it. As for all the little nodules and things on it, I might have to reconsider how I approach those. Granted, it's probably not going to have like the same transition-y effect that I want on this sword, so I probably could just do a highlight and then hit with the Tesseract and see what that does. There we go, bottom third, at least with one layer. And then we go back and reapply to where it's already dry. One advantage of working in the summer heat. It's why I used to never really paint much in the summer, but one, wet palette, two, I want to paint more consistently. So let's see if we can't break that habit. Because I know I certainly want to. I'm not going to be quite going on the hobby streak I see people on Twitter participating in, because that just sounds like effort. But I do want to paint more often. Experiment a bit more. Paint stuff I wouldn't normally paint. Just grow. Maybe even paint stuff that isn't just a gaming piece. Like I do have a leftover figure. For anyone who saw my Facebook post from last year when I had my 10th anniversary of painting, I did paint up this bugger. I'm not going to show it off too much. Here's currently my... Why do I feel like Shen should be winning the 1v1 versus Master Yi top? I don't... tanky. And early Yi doesn't do a whole lot. Yeah, I painted up this guy. Still quite happy with how this guy came up. But he did come with a little figurine of like a kid. He had the option of strapping on a little pod on his back that looked like a little room. I currently do have the child in pieces in this bag. So that might be something I'd do as a bit of a showcasey thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's an option. But yeah, worried about leaning against the Yi. Yi's a snowballer. From what I remember from when I played him, the early game he doesn't do a lot. he's going to have to be very opportunistic to actually start that snowball going down the hill, from what I remember. There we go. If I just tick a little bit more at this top edge, what I might do, I'll see how it goes with this blend. Yeah. I still need to touch up the Ulf one on some bits. That shouldn't be difficult. Just do that up there. Make sure this is solid here. Got a little bit on that edge. Well, it doesn't need to be solid, it just needs to be close enough to look convincingly pale. Because this is, if this goes well, this is going to get another layer on top of it of that Tesseract Glow. Hopefully sell that glowy look. Just doing this as like an undercoat. Yeah, well, like I was saying earlier, I do just want to experiment more. Now that I've got a wet palette and I'm starting to get used to it, I do want to experiment, especially with mixing paints. It's something I don't typically do because I'm a big scaredy cat. But it's something I want to experiment with, especially the concept of using something called a mother colour. That would probably do a lot to help a lot of the colour schemes I try out. For those who don't know, a mother colour is basically where you take all the colours you want to use on a model, and then you take just one colour and mix a little bit of it into all of the colours you intend to use, and that way you sort of make a bit more of a cohesive colour palette. So what I've done is I've just grabbed the Moot Green, which is our original colour. Let's make it a smidge thinner. Yeah, that'll do. And let's see if I can't do a little bit of glazing. Not a huge amount, just over this. It's not really showing up too well, is it? I think I need a little less. All sorts of little techniques I want to try. Don't know if I'd ever airbrush. Airbrushing just always looks like a pain in the ass for me. It's like, oh hey, you've got this piece of equipment now that you've got to maintain and look after, otherwise it just spits at you. It's like, great. I'd rather not add more work. I did try to get into 3D printing, but that just ended up being a pain in the ass. You know what? Even if I were to glaze this, it would just end up being brighter. You know what? Let's thin that on my brush and see if I can't do a little bit more of a blend. That's better, that's better. Again, doesn't need to be perfect, but that just needed a little extra something. What other techniques would I want to try? I've always wanted to try oil paints. Oil paints look quite fun in terms of just being very, not chaotic, but you could just sort of go for them. Like you just start slapping colours down, get rid of anything that doesn't look right, unlike with acrylics. And just go a little crazy, honestly, which sounds fun. Be very tempted to see what comes out of the other side of a session of that. Yeah, it's a little bit of texture. That's actually looking pretty good on camera. That is actually looking like a good blend. Again, it's not perfect. I can certainly see some of the edges, but I'm actually quite happy with that. Let's continue a little bit more on this side. This is the problem with these sort of blends. It's all like, plop it down, be happy, refine, 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 hate it, refine, refine, get happier, break it, refine, refine. That is the joy of art. Hating something until it looks alright, ruining it, fixing it, hating it, and liking it. That's looking alright, this front end too. Let's just touch up this edge. Okay, that was nowhere near as painful as I thought it would be. There's a little bad on this here though. Just drag it up. Good tip as well for if you're ever trying to do something like this. Where you end your brush stroke is where the majority of your paint is going to be deposited. So you typically want, like what I'm doing here, is brush away from, like I want this here to be whiter. So I'm brushing away from it to make sure I deposit most of my green where I actually want it to be green. And then let's just take some of the paint neat and just tickle it in places where it's a little uneven. Tickle, 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 tickle. Yeah, I mean that looks great on camera. The Warboss green is actually blended a lot nicer than I thought it would. I suppose that's going from a very pale, bright green to a more deeper, saturated green. This is naturally going to be a nice transition. I also like the idea, and this is just going back to like the weird painting techniques, of doing sort of like some undercoat painting. Like just something that's apparently very easy to do with oils is you just take a black, a white, and a grey oil paint, and you just paint purely the values. And then once that's done, you can then start grabbing some of your actual like colour paints and start putting that thinly over that undercoat to then get some fairly interesting. Well, they look nice, but it's nothing like special about the technique that's making it look nice. It's more that like you having to adjust your process that much sort of makes you it makes you rethink how you do things. Because like I could think, oh, I want this to be gold. I'll just slap some gold paint on it. But that gold paint has what would be known as a value, like how certain colours naturally are just lighter or darker than others. Like a yellow is just going to naturally be brighter than a similarish, say, a blue. So you just throw out that complication, focus purely on the values, then you add your colours, and it just adds that extra level of control from what I can see that just lets you just like do some impressive stuff. I am going to just take some of this off one and just put it on all of our, just as a circle. There's a rough circle on all of these orbs. Again, not trying to be perfect. The imperfections are actually going to help hide the fact that I've not tried to blend this. Yeah, and the one on the waist. And the pipes. The pipes are calling. Our Ankh. The pipes on. Oh, good. This old one is actually watered down quite a bit naturally on the palette. Just need to touch that up. What time are we on? 9 o'clock already. Jeez. I've not achieved nearly as much as I thought. I originally thought this guy would be a 2-stream buddy, but here we are, almost at the end of stream number 2, even despite the technical difficulties, and he's getting pretty decent. Still a bit to do on him though. Especially like nothing's been edge highlighted so far. This is mostly laying down some effects. Yeah, across the centre of the pipes. So it looks like this guy's going to take just about as long as Git Stomper, but he's not felt as well. It has been longer, just because of our little hiatus. That hopefully I can keep consistent. It might be that I have to alternate between certain days, because I still usually get my Fridays off, but I can't guarantee which other day in the week I get off. So next week it might be Friday, because it'd kind of be weird streaming on a Thursday and then streaming on Monday. And I might just have Monday as a me day. But yeah, stream on that Friday, then see what my rota is looking like for the week after. Figure out what day works then, because like streaming today works for me because I'm actually off tomorrow as well as today. The rare 2 days in a row off. Don't typically get those. Let's see if I can be brave and get those eyes. Get them little tiny dots of pupils. Yeah. Alright. Alright. Next weird step, I am going to grab some Caliban green, which is a very dark green. See if I can't add a little bit of definition to our bright green. So I'm pre-watering it and I'm putting it on the palette because I might see where and when I can use it like a wash. It's like all these nice lovely techie lines on our sword. If I could actually do it on camera. Give that a bit of a clean up. Again, the thumb is probably one of the best beginner's tools in your toolkit. Wipe away anything wet that's an issue. Wipe up any glue even, as long as it's not super glue that you've accidentally misapplied. I know I've done that. One time it was accidentally super glue and I had a Necron Lord stuck to my thumb for about an hour. That was funny. In retrospect, I was really annoyed at the time because that model was such a pain in the ass to put together. But very funny in retrospect. I do not miss that model. Like, it was a nice sculpt, but that's the only real thing I could say about it. I do not, like I repeat, do not miss metal models at all. And I can tolerate resin. But plastic just is a reason that all the companies slowly tend to move towards it. And you know what? Let's be cheeky and add a little bit of this to the ends of our dark part of the gradient. Just a little bit. Just again to add that little bit more contrast against the edges. Yeah, that's looking a bit more something. Now let's try and see if we can be lucky and do this on these other bits. Granted, I've watered this paint down that much. It's kind of hard not to mess this up. It's kind of hard to not mess this up even. What I should say. This is basically a wash. I'm not going to put it on the pipes just because I don't really see much point putting it on the pipes. But all of our orbs that seem to have collected a bit of our moot green in the bottom there. And yeah, let's give it a little attention to the gun too. Right, okay. It's looking better. It's looking a bit more interesting. That is a tide mark on that top edge there that I do not like. Still drying though, unfortunately. Oh well, it won't be drying for long. But everywhere else, let's tickle a little in there too. Let's make this look a bit more three-dimensional. Yeah, that looks better. That looks better. We take a little bit more right at the tippy top corners. Going to sneeze. Alright. Needed that. I think the humidity is just tickling my nose. There we go. That looks a little less like a tide mark. Make it look like it wasn't an accident. That's usually what you say when you're trying to murder someone. Okay. So, we're waiting on that to dry now. And then, I'm going to have another play with this Tesseract Glow. So that shouldn't take too much longer. I can see it in still some of the deeper veins of the sword still drying. There's a little glint of moisture. Also, turns out, lime flavoured Pepsi Max is pretty alright. Pretty alright. Could definitely see it being a nice mixer. It's a little bit messy on the top edge there. So, that is just... I don't know how much that's on camera. But yeah, just a little bit. Again, make it look a little less messy. Alright. I did manage to get a little bit of a streak on this bit of the white here. But I think we can just live with that. The rest of it looks fine. I am actually happy with how quickly that went. So, once we know it is all set and cured, which I believe it is now, let's ruin it! Let us blob this on and see how it looks. Hold your breath, people. Wish me luck. It's covering up the Caliban quite strongly. But that's interesting looking. Granted, we're going to have to see how it dries. But other than that, that's something. It's certainly something. I might just have to reapply the Caliban to those deep veins, but that looks better than it did. It doesn't look quite as nice as it did if we kept the dark parts of our transition perfectly fine, but that at least looks like something. So, onwards. We've bitten that bullet. And hopefully it'll look a little less messy once it has dried. Don't know how long that'll take, but it is. I believe the stuff is basically chemically quite similar to a contrast paint. If it does look a bit rubbish, I can always refine it. Could always go back in with a bit of the Ulfwan to add a little bit of extra sharpness to the edges. And let us get our other glowy Necrony bits. I think I'm inevitably just going to get a little bit of an overglow effect. On purpose or otherwise. So, we embrace it. This is part of the fun, challenge and learning experience of using new goop. You know what? I don't mind if this gets in the black on our Ankh sternum thing. It might look interesting. I'm going to find out. I don't really tend to use technical paints all that much. The main one I use is either a Grell and Earth for basing, like I have on this guy, or Blood for the Blood God, for one of the rare moments where I actually want blood on my models. I do not paint very gory, usually. You know what? As it's drying on this, that's actually looking better. Yeah, you know what? I'm embracing this. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze again. Am I? No. It does add a level of yellow to this green, which I think helps make it look a little bit more energetic. So I can dig this. I can certainly dig this. Yeah. Don't know how else you would use this. This is a colour that seems to definitely work best with an undercoat, like what we've had to do today. But I'm sure someone could use that to their advantage. Alright, now the eyes. Teeny tiny spot with a paint like this, I'm sure that's going to go perfectly fine. You know what? It did. You know what? It did. Yes, sirree. I have actually not fucked this up. Oh, yeah. And now I realise that centre stripe on his forehead has not been touched up. But yeah, you know what? I bit that bullet. And it worked. Ha! Screw you, world. I almost know what I'm doing. Definitely remembering that for future reference in case I do it again. Yep, baby. Like I say, we'll touch this up. Definitely some edges that could use a little bit of extra love to highlight them on the sword. Definitely on what is, I presume, this cutting edge. But otherwise, even on the back, which I didn't really put as much effort into, it actually lightened up some bits of the gradient, which makes the darker bits look a bit darker. It actually had enough coverage. That's neat. Nice. Okay, I think it's actually gotten more... Oh, my recording has stopped. I was recording! I thought I told it not to. Then again, I have been wiping a lot of cookies and other data similar, so that's probably why that's... forgotten that instruction. Well, so... Yeah, that paint seems to have gotten more translucent as it's set. Let me just quickly now touch up our forehead dingle. Don't know if it's called that. I'm going to call it that. And if I have the edges be a little darker, that will add a little bit of separation. Alright. Alright. So, one thing I am noticing, it did apply a little unevenly in the onk, but even over black, it seems to do some neat stuff. Like, look at that. I can easily make that look like it's at least got a little bit of an underglow. Is it worth trying to stick this in the ribs too? Do I do that? I try that. Screw it. I got a new toy. A new notch on the belt, as it were. I'm going to use it. Oh yeah. Doesn't matter if I got a little bit on the rib cage around it. It's just going to look like glowing. Why is this covering so well? This feels dangerous. I ran out. I need a little bit more than that. Okay. Apply it, even it out between all the ribs, because it's going to go up the sides of the inside of the ribs. So I want to make sure it goes up at least an evenish amount. Yeah! Don't know how long it's going to take to dry, but it's going to look interesting once it has. We tried something new today here, folks. I think that's worth a little clap. That's what I get. That's all I get. Right. You know what? I think after that, I am going to cut it a little earlier tonight. Just, my light went out. Not because of that. But, just so... Oh, we've kind of just reached a point where the next step is going to be our finishing touches, I feel. So, let's leave that for when I next boot up. But, thank you all for coming and joining me again. after the brief hiatus we have gone through. Pixel and Linkle. I'm going to call you Linkle because it's funny and it rhymes. I hope building that desk went well. John, I hope you emptied out the conservatory. If not, you're going to get a reckoning from the boo, I believe. And Slider, best of luck with the league ranked, because I know how much of a turmoil that can be. Yeah, let's have a little final once around this guy. Again, the Ankh. We're doing some interesting things. Looks really cool, especially the no longer nerf sword. Yeah, that has done a lot for it. Like I say, well, that's going to be part of the edge highlighting, is actually making that look sharp rather than just like a glowy circuit board that he's slapping people with. But that same process is also going to make these claws look sharp. But yeah, thank you all for coming back after our brief break. Dealing with the brief technical issues where for some reason it's insisting on using my laptop microphone over my actual headset microphone. And I will see you all, if not... yeah, best of luck, you say here. If not the Friday, not the one coming, the one after. Not too long afterwards. So, thank you all. And I will catch you on the next time. I'm sure I'll let you all know in advance or on Twitter. Ta-ra!